Okay, this is Connections Over Coffee. I get so excited to tap in on Friday mornings of Connections Over Coffee for two reasons. Number one, I get to chat with everybody, which I love, especially, we still have COVID out there, as we all know. And so this is kind of fun, and we don't have to get in the car and drive and travel and do all that stuff, and we get to make connections. And number two, I really don't have a lot to prepare for this particular event because it's all about just making connections with each other. So I do want to share that Connections Over Coffee, we are a virtual meetup where we will simply network and develop relationships. There's no pressure, there's no sales, there's no feeling inadequate. We meet on Zoom monthly, and while some of our meetups will have an entrepreneurial focus, everyone is welcome to jump in and listen. So with that, I'm going to start with Debbie. Now, I know Debbie personally, but I'm going to start with Debbie. And Debbie, share a little bit about who you are, where you are, and what you're doing for Lynn.
Well, I'm Debbie Marks, out here by Buckeye Lake, and I am a person that's very focused on ecosense, organic farming, and I also have a blog that I'm working on called Debbie's Organic Homesteading. And I also have a meetup group on the second Friday of, excuse me, of every Friday called Fireside Chat with Debbie Marks. And there I like to interview people that would like to get their story out, which is really important because there's not a lot of platforms out there where you can do something like that. And if you find one, you have to share the platform with, even a few other people. But this one focuses strictly on that person. This last Friday, we had Ruth Pierce on, and she talked about her 5-day challenge, which I believe today would be the last day.
It is. And it was all about relationships. It wasn't a salesy type challenge at all. It was all about going deeper in your relationships. So it was a great challenge. Did you get a chance to listen in on it, Debbie?
No, and I was.
The replays are still in her Facebook group, and I got to listen in live twice, and I got to listen to the replay so far. It was really good stuff.
Well, then I'm just going to have to go to the Facebook page and check it out.
And it's called the 5-day Relationship on Fire Challenge is the name of the Facebook page. Yeah,
I think that's really a cool title. Mm-hmm. So I would say that's, I'm writing my book, and then right now it's getting to be planting season on the farm here, but of course after all that rain last night, it's going to need a little bit of time to dry out. So yeah, that's about it, Kathy. Thanks,
Debbie. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. So as for me, I had almost 30 years in the cosmetology industry, and I retired in 2017, the end of 2017. And since then, along with some of Debbie's help, I have created an online academy where I actually teach and coach healthy living and also how to create passive income. And because I'm all about passive income, because I want to travel. And so when you jumped on, Lynn, Debbie and I were talking about my first midterm rental. I'm just giving that a try. I have short term and I have long term, but I hadn't done any midterm. And I'm just now giving that a try. So it looks like it's going to be successful. It's one of those when you're empty, you wish you didn't have any. And when you've got a list, you wish you had 10. So I've got a list right now. So I'm wishing I had 10. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. I'm trying to be a little conservative about it, not get in over my head too much. So, I'm sorry.
Years ago, I owned a student rental house for university. So
you get it.
Bedroom, and some of the students kept on, and others were yearly, and they met friends and went on, and it was yearly thing, yearly rentals, leases, showings, repair.
Okay, yeah, repair. Yeah, I saw the repair face. Yeah, yeah. I have some of those going. Right now I'm in the middle of a great big huge well drilling project. We bought a property down in Hocking Hills. Lynn, are you from the Columbus area? Where are you from?
Oh, I'm in Canada. I'm outside
Oh,
Toronto.
you're in Canada. Okay, well, you're not familiar then. We have an area just below where Debbie and I live called Hocking Hills, and it's a big tourist attraction area, and it's spread out state park all around it. And so the thing to do is to buy some land down there and put little cabins or whatever, and then people go and tourists all come in from all over, and they camp for the weekend or the week or whatever. And so of course, because of the supply and demand, the cost of properties down there have just gotten out of control. So we found an acre and a half that had a single wide mobile home on it, where they'd already built a big addition on the end, and it already had a shed, it already had a driveway, nice landscaped yard. It looks real nice. And we were able to grab that for a great price, but it didn't have a well. And we knew that it had they had buried a cistern in the ground. And so a water truck has to come out and fill the cistern every so many weeks. And so we wanted to drill a well. Well, now we're in the middle of the well drilling project, and it is a big project. Our problem now is this sits up on a ridge. And so we were all excited. We said, oh, we're going to call it Huffines Ridge. It's on Huffines Road, but we're going to call it, the property name is going to be Huffines Ridge, so we can advertise it that way. And well, the fact that it sits on a ridge, there's a neighbor below us that has a beautiful pond, and all gravel and tables and chairs out around the pond, and a little dock, for their little rowboat. And I mean, it's just beautiful. And so we said, oh, this is great because it's behind our place down the hill. And so we're going to do our outdoor living area between our place and that pond, so that all of our guests can enjoy the neighbor's pond. Well, when you drill the well, and we have to go really, really deep, and they have to infuse hundreds of thousands of gallons of water into the hole to drill this well, with the drill bit going down, almost 400 feet into the ground. And so now the concern is that we're going to totally sludge this neighbor's beautiful pond, because all of this is going to come out of the ground and run right down the hill into their pond. So this morning, my whole project has been quoting and finding somebody to dig a trench between us and the neighbor's pond to catch all of our water and sludge when we drill the well, because we're going to have to come in and landscape the yard afterwards anyway. And so we thought, you know what, if we dig a trench, at least we don't have to spend thousands of dollars to restore their pond and still have to landscape our yard. So we thought we'll just try to dig a trench and divert as much of that as possible. At the end of our property, which is maybe 300 feet, there is a little culvert creek that runs along the road there. And we're going to try to divert it over to that culvert ditch along the road, instead of it just going down the hillside into the neighbor's beautiful pond. Anyway,
At all?
Do what?
Has the neighbors been good about it all?
Well, we've met the neighbors, and they know that we're planning on drilling a well, but I don't know that, if you haven't seen a well drilled, and the fact that we have to go, 380 feet, which means they're going to be sludging out water and sludge for 8 to 10 hours. So it's definitely going to reach the pond. We don't know that they really realize how messy this is going to be. And we didn't really realize until we met with the well. I mean, we knew it was going to be messy in the yard. We didn't realize it would get all the way to the neighbor's pond. And he was like, after a few hours, yeah, it'll get to, he said, it's pretty aggressive amount of water. And he said,
have been okay.
Well, again, we've met them once, and we just in passing mentioned that, how's the property coming? Oh, we're just waiting to get our well drilled. Oh, okay. I mean, that was the whole conversation. So this weekend we're heading down to decide where we want to put the trench, how deep we want to put the trench, and to go share with the neighbors why we're going to be trenching across our yard is to try to save their pond. So anyway, so we're going to have that conversation this weekend. So I think
Oh,
they'll
wow, I wish-
appreciate that we're trying to do something, positive to try to, deter the damages there. So we know
Yeah.
it's what it is. So, and like Debbie, I am in the middle of writing. I am in a co-author project, and so I should be published by my birthday in July. So I'm hoping I have to finish up my chapter this weekend. My deadline is next Wednesday. I'm pretty well done. I have about 1,000 words yet to go to get to my word count, and then I'll be done. So I'm going to do that this weekend.
Oh, very good.
So anyway, so
Just
Lynn,
something
tell us
to-
about you.
Yeah, I just have to say, I'm not sure how much time I've got here. Got my daughter stopping by, and then I'm out for a lunch with a friend, my grade 3 friend. But with COVID, we haven't seen each other much. So
Oh, how
where I was
nice.
last time, I'm still hopefully actually now. I can't say middle of divorce. I'm kind of hoping it's near the end. It's been going on for years.
Oh,
So yeah, no, and I think that's kind of my purpose in being here is I'm trying to fish out my options, what I'm going to do when it's all done. So I think I will be comfortable financially, but it's my time and what I'm going to do with it for the rest of my life. I've been a stay-at-home mom, so I don't have a career. I used to be in the dental world as a dental assistant for public and private dental, well, public for the city and private with some dentists before I had kids. So I have that training and 10 years of working, but that was 30 years ago. I think things have changed in the world. There was no computers when I left the office. So don't know if
now
that's a
all
huge.
all the dental hygienists wear their little headsets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's all different roles in the office, right? So I like 2 roles and qualified really for 2 roles. So I don't know what I'll do with it. I don't think I'll go back. I want to travel, like you said. So the passive income part appealed to me because, or remote something that I can take with me and go.
I get
Um,
it. Well,
Kind of putting my feelers out for everything. Right now, I'm actually looking for, and it doesn't help. We're very different financially up here. What to do with my settlement and how to set myself up financially and have the income to travel. I know I will have it. It's just making the best of the best and getting every red cent out of everything I can. So yeah, I've had some advice on Facebook, but it's all US stuff. I don't even know what a 401k is because we don't have them. So
yeah, because
um,
that's a government retirement plan. Yes.
so yeah, so there's a lot that did not apply to me.
Okay.
So, and it's not like I'm, I will be comfortable. I'm in a big house right now. I'm not quite sure. I think I'm going to get the big house, but I'm not quite sure I want to stay in the big house. It's just me and this daughter that might be popping in. She's university, so she's only home for the summer. Another daughter lives far away. So when she comes, I need bedrooms and space because they sleep over. There's no afternoon at grandma's in my life. They come for days. So
That's kind of fun though. I do
Oh.
have some suggestions. How many bedrooms do you have?
4.
Well, I do have some suggestions. My house has 4 bedrooms. And what I did when I retired from the salon business, and Debbie knows what I'm going to tell you. And what I did is I had to put my toe in the water first and test it. Is I put one room out on Airbnb just to see if I would like it or not. And Mark and I we were okay with it. We did. And
What's
so
involved in that? What's involved? Like there would be just the room, no kitchen, obviously a bathroom, but no kitchen offered to them.
Nope, I don't offer a kitchen. I just put it out. As a matter of fact, I don't even advertise it as a bed and breakfast. I advertise mine as a guest house. And all you get is a room. And the way I'm set up is that in my front door, I have a living room there and more like a parlor. And I put a baker's rack in there. And on my baker's rack, I have a little coffee station, hot tea station. And because of the different shelving, what I put out every night is I'll put out pastries and cookies and fresh fruit. And so it's not a bed and breakfast. And I just put that on the baker's rack right there in that entrance parlor. And it's set up like a living room, couch and chairs and all that. And then I put the coffee pot on a timer.
Yeah.
I have a push button code on my front door, just a doorknob code that I just bought at the local hardware store. And then that day I just tell my guest, here's the code to get in, here's your room assignment. And I put out some pastries and cookies for you. and safe
You're
travels.
not home sometimes when they come, they have access to your whole house and you're not home.
No, no, they just have access just to that entrance parlor and the 3 guest rooms.
You can block. I can't.
What I did is I put a door in between that and the rest of the house.
Yeah, I could actually block off. I have 2 staircases. Who has 2 staircases? But I do have a side entrance that can be blocked. So I could do a whole basement apartment is what I'm getting at, is that
Okay,
I couldn't do a room because it's too open. There would be
Okay.
access to the whole house. I could put a door to the basement. I've already got a door in the other staircase and a separate entrance, and it could be blocked off. The whole house wouldn't be accessible. But I'd have to do a lot of renovations and put a lot of money into renovating it into an apartment. And is it worth it? So, you know, you put up the money and you get the rent. So a bit of a wash. So I don't know how much I would have to do. And if it's legal here, they're big about legal and laws here. So I don't
okay.
know if it would even be legal after I did it. And I think to make it legal, I would have window work to do. And I would do, I think, rip down all the drywall that's there and make it fireproof and soundproof to the upstairs, and let alone
Well-
put it in the bathroom.
See now, and again, here in the States, you don't have to do that. Our revised code allows for you to have a guest suite in.
And there's
in
many,
your-
many here that don't do it legally. I would think
Ah.
40 of basement apartments here are not done legally. So do I
Okay.
want to take that risk?
After you put the money in, I get it. Yeah. Yeah. So then your other option would be, and I don't know what your market is there, but here our inventory of real estate is so low that everyone is getting top dollar for their houses. So the other option would be for you to liquidate and downsize if that's what you wanted to do, which would make your
Yeah, no,
funds.
no.
Do what?
I don't want to, but I think I might have to. I've been here 30 years and stay at home
Okay.
mom. It's my office and my life. And yeah, I just have a lot of choices, but I need to know dollars. I need to have a settlement. I have to have it over. And then I need to make decisions. Yeah. So
I get it. In
We'll
a
see.
perfect world, what would you want your day to look like in a perfect world? What would be your perfect day?
my day is in terms of what I would do with myself, or I would live.
Yeah. Yes. Well, what you would do with
I have
yourself.
options. Yeah. Well, I have so many options. I don't know where to start. I really do. Financially, I'll be fine. And like I said, I don't have the career. Nor do I really want one in a sense of a job, because I want that freedom to travel.
But what is your
Um,
passion though? That's what I'm trying to decide or determine. What is your passion? Do you know what your passions are?
No, I don't know. I'm passionate. See, that's another issue with me, is that I've just looked after kids and husband and home for 30 years. And now it's like, and dog, and now dog's even gone, passed away a few months ago. That I have zero routine now, zero. I have this, oh, it's breakfast. I should feed the dog. I'll eat too. Oh, there's no dog. So I really don't need to have breakfast right now either. Oh, I don't
I
have
get it.
any structure at all. So I'm getting used to that, which is a bit odd. There's automatic things I don't have to do anymore. So I'm a blank slate for everything, my day, where I want to live. But none of it can be decided till this finances stuff is done. So
Right.
I just got my feelers in every pot I can put my feelers in. I used to be a pilot, so I'm
Okay.
actually go back and not commercially, just privately.
Right.
For my dad's plane, so I didn't fly anybody anywhere. So I'm been giving gifts of people, go back and try flying. So I'm gonna go when COVID's over. It's a very small little contained, it's like a 2-seater, 4-seater plane.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit too close to somebody I don't know too well in a very tight closed in space. So soon, I think I'm gonna go back up and see if I remember how to fly, but that'll be so expensive. That'll be just a once a week or once a month kind of thing. It won't be
My significant other Mark is a pilot for small planes. We have 3 airplanes actually.
That's no 182.
Do what now?
I have a Cessna.
Oh, no, we don't have a Cessna, a Bonanza, a split tail Bonanza, and a small Grumman Yankee,
Oh yeah.
just a 2-seater. And the split tail Bonanza is a 4-seater, both single propeller.
Tail wheel. Are they a
No, not a tail dragger. No.
front wheeler? Huh?
Yeah, these are all front. And then the third plane is in parts.
Oh,
But it's another Yankee. It's another little Grumman Yankee,
nice.
American Yankee. So
That's the girl. So we'll see. I'm gonna go to get checked out probably on a, I don't know what they're gonna put me on. I don't see point in taking me up in a 4-seater. So we'll see. We'll see what I end up. But that is not anything big because it'll be just way too much money. So, and I want to choose where I spend my money, and I will want to spend it on travel. So
well, okay, you've
fun, but
that's the third time you've mentioned travel. I have a suggestion.
what's that?
If you find one of those online travel sites that have affiliates where you can become a travel agent.
Oh, I don't know why I want to do it for anybody else.
No. Here's the point. All that does is it gives you a website, and if people book, oh well, and if they don't, oh well. But what it does for you is it gives you an IATA number, and it allows you to never travel on a vacation again. Every single trip will then become a business trip. And I don't know how your taxes work in Canada, but for us, it becomes all your vacations now become tax deductible.
Yeah, but you have to have plus before you have minuses. So I don't know what I'll do, but I will keep that in mind. I know what that is, so I can look that up. But thank you. See?
And you get great deals on your trips because
Oh,
of
there you
you
go.
being a travel agent. You get great deals, so it's kind of a win-win. You get the great deals going in, you get the benefits at the other end. It's kind of a win-win all the way around.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I have a friend that we travel. We've done a few trips in the last few years. So yes, in COVID we were bad. But yeah, we checked out a few new places, and they like to travel a lot. So I've got a buddy to travel, no strings attached, just kind of like, yeah, let's do. We're already talking about what we're gonna. And then another ladies group came up to Bali for a week.
Oh, that's an idea.
It was the itinerary for 5 days. It would be a lot in 5 days, but come home and sleep. It would be fabulous and not that bad. I think it was US dollars again. I think $22.50. Didn't include the flight, but I have enough points to cover the flight. So, anyways, yeah, that's my day. I just trying to get my pool opened. We have a long weekend this weekend. Do you guys have? Is it Memorial Day? What do you have this? Is it this weekend? You've got a long weekend this weekend too, or ours is Queen Victoria's. I know you don't have that.
Yeah, no, we have Memorial Day coming, but we are not until
next weekend.
yeah, it's the 30th. Ours is May 30th.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just the third Monday in May, however it's sliced. It's always
Yeah.
just the third Monday in May. So I've got plants sitting here looking at me. So I've got the whole backyard too. The pool needs vacuumed, and it was raining a few minutes ago, but the sun is coming out. So
Now, where are you in Canada in relationship to where we are?
I'm just outside Toronto.
Oh, okay. You're just due north then. Okay. Because we are just outside Columbus, Ohio, right in the middle of the state.
Yeah. I used to drive to Florida every March break. So yep.
Oh, that's a long drive.
Dayton, Ohio. Oh yeah, down in what, I-75 or I-95?
75.
Yep, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like the pilot, you know, I know I love maps. I love
Okay.
where things are. So
I love it. I love it. Well, we have a lot in common. So happy that you tapped in this morning. I love that.
I've got on my calendar. I'm going to pop in and just see ideas. I got to have something spark something someday.
I get it. Well, best of luck on coming to the closure here on your divorce. I've been through a divorce. I get it. Sometimes, and you said yours has been going on for a while. Sometimes you just want to get to the other end of something like that so that you can kind of
Exactly.
get going, on whatever it is you want to do. Yeah.
Marriage is 30 years. So yeah, but I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
You should write a book.
I should write a book. Actually, I write a book. Who wants to hear what I have to say?
Well, because so many,
You'd be
so many-
surprised.
so many gals in the middle of a situation like that, you could really give them some inspiration and hope, because sometimes, well, you've been through all the emotions. I know you get it, but some gals get stuck somewhere in that process.
I think that in life, people get stuck
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, regardless of the situation. I have a sister like that that's a bit stuck. So I have her to deal with. Got a lot on my plate, but yeah, no, I'm happy. I'm happy.
Good, 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 good. You look happy. Good for you.
Thank you. Thank
Good
you.
for you.
Just kind of needing structure, just kind of need to get on and know what I have to get on with is I'm a live within your means kind of girl.
Yep.
So I ain't planning nothing until I know the dollars and cents.
Nope. I get that. I get that.
So I
Yep.
think I'm gonna have to cut it short. I've got people just arrived.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for tapping in. I appreciate that you were here.
I'm gonna put it back on my calendar again, third Friday. I see I might be away in June. We'll see. We'll see. I'm
Okay.
taking my mother away. We've hired somebody to help us with her because we can't manage her. So I think
Now,
that's,
how far away is she from you?
oh, she's 10 minutes away, but she's in a home and she's in a wheelchair and she's very overweight. My sister's got back issues, me too. I can't move her. I can't help her in and out washroom, anything. So we have a friend that helps us, the nurse.
Okay.
So we're all going to my sister's cottage. And I think that might be, I have to check my date. Might be-
Okay.
I think it was Tuesday, Thursday. So maybe I will. Anyways, I will, it's on my calendar. And if I can, I will.
Very good. Thank you so much for tapping in.
Okay, thank you, ladies. Bye-bye, Debbie, too.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Well, that was fun to meet Lynn. How nice is that?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't seen Carmela today. So Carmela was traveling too. So she wasn't sure if she was going to get to tap in or not. So Debbie, tell
Oh.
me, how is your book going? Talk to me about your book.
Well, it's going fairly well. What I'm hoping is that when things die down a little bit here, just coming back from convention and everything, that I can devote more time every day and to it. But I've already come up with some pictures to put in there and also chapter titles. And it's like, I almost have enough to write 2 books. But I want to tell you that book, Tape Breakers,
Yeah.
is amazing.
Tape Breakers. Very good. I'm going to make a note of that.
Yes. And also, Mindset, the new psychology of success. It's by Carol S. Dweck, DWECK.
Okay.
She's a PhD doctor.
And it's called Mindset.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in that Tape Breakers is by the guy from Igniting Souls.
Oh, I do remember.
Yes. I don't have it right within my grasp. But oh yes, I do right here.
I just punched it up to see if it comes up.
Jim Akers.
Ackers, I think.
Ackers.
Is it
Okay.
Ackers, Acres. I get it. Yeah, Jim. Yes.
And it's amazing how he takes things apart, and when he puts them back together, he puts it in order, and he really makes you stop and think. And so I took this book with me while I was gone, so every chance I had, I could read it. And I figure, sometime around the end of the year, I should have it pretty well put together and, go for Igniting Souls next year.
Okay.
Yep. Hey, I'm a one-person band, as she said.
I am very excited for you. You and I talked about me doing this co-author project, and I jumped on it because I thought, I know what's going to happen is that, good intentions, pave the road to to nowhere.
Exactly.
And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to jump on this, and at least I will be published and it'll be out there, and I'll be a published author. And I paid an extra $1,000 because with the extra 1,000, and I don't know if I have it right here in front of me. I might watch all my files crash. And see, I'm gonna look up and see what it's called. For my extra $1,000, I was able to purchase, and of course I don't have it right here. I was able to purchase, it's kind of a how-to outline on how to, go through the process. That was part of what came with this package, was that you got a how-to, so that if you wanted to go on with another book, you could. And I thought, well, for the extra $1,000, I'm going to spend it and get the material.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so anyway, so that's where I'm at with it. And I have my chapter already written. And Debbie, you're going to appreciate this. It's such a beautiful thing. We all said, well, what goes into our chapter? And she said, I want everybody's hero's journey. Well,
I love that.
you and we've talked about the hero's journey. You've seen mine on my work with me page. And so I'm thinking, what? You mean to tell me I might already have my chapter done or pretty, at least outlined? And
Oh,
so
yeah.
what I did is she said, I want everybody's rough draft ASAP. And Debbie, you're going to love this. I went to my website. I opened up my work with me page. I copied the page. I pasted it over into the document and I sent it. She sent back and she goes, OMG. She said, you've got such a great outline. I said, thank you. And so then she says, now she said, the next step, once I get the outline, she says, the next step is, she said, there's 8 questions. And she said, I want you to type the question and then type your answer. Debbie, you're going to love this. The questions, and I don't know if I can come up with them real quick here. The questions were so simple. Because again, the whole book is about how to speak, lead, and impact. So, which is what we talk about all the time about, making an impact. And so I'm going to pull up my my working draft here. I don't know if this one doesn't have the questions. I just want to read to you the questions, and then you're going to smile when you hear these questions that I had to answer. There's my chapter. Anyhow, I just have it saved on a Google Doc, and then I just share it with her. So anyway, it had to be 12 point, New Roman, 12 point type, double spaced, the whole thing, which was so easy to do. Then the questions were, it said, where did your reinvention or calling journey begin? Oh, maybe this is the hero's journey. Yeah, that's the hero's journey. Here are the questions. I had to type the question and then the answer. This is after my hero's journey, which you've heard my hero's journey a million times. The first question was, where have you been called to lead, and what is the why behind what you do? The second one is, what unique formula or framework or feature do you offer to your community or clients? The next one was, how were you able to transform a setback into a setup for success? And what life or business lessons have created the most growth for you? And then she wants everyone to answer, what do you want to be remembered for? What is your ultimate legacy? And so when I went down the homepage of my website, remember I had that little paragraph about when the Dalai Lama said this, it rocked my world. All I did is I put those questions out on my document. I went over to my homepage, I scrolled down, I copied and pasted it to answer each question right off of my website. And so I haven't really written anything yet. It was, actually, I've written all of it because I wrote it a year ago. It's just spread out on my website, and now it's all in a chapter, and it's got the hero's journey, and then it goes right into answering those questions right off of my website. And I'm about 1,000 words short for my chapter. And so now the only thing I have to do is go back to my hero's journey, where, if you remember, it had the prompt, and then I answered the prompt with a couple bullet points. And I've already turned those into sentences already. I've made it all paragraph form. I've done that part already, but I haven't added any more to the sentences other than turning those prompts and bullet points into paragraph form. So now I'm going to go back and I'm just going to tell some little stories in around that hero's journey to get my
Well,
last 1,000 words. And I do that this weekend, put some emotion in it, like and
right.
like how I felt. Like I remember, when my mom, the whole story about my mom sat me down and said I needed to get on with it. That's a sentence in my hero's journey. Well, I
Right.
can expand on that. I can say, I remember one evening I went to pick up my daughter and my mom was acting all concerned and worried. And I, was holding my breath. I didn't know. She said she had something she wanted to talk to me about. And I didn't know what it was. So you see where I can take that one sentence and make it into its own little paragraph.
It's amazing. What the first thing that popped into my mind was feel, felt, and found to go along with that, what you're doing.
Yeah. And so I just need to do that in a few places. And here's my problem. When you mentioned you've got enough material to write 2 books, that was my thought, because I thought, you know what, if I could do that with every single sentence in that hero's journey, and I could have 10 chapters. So I've got to be careful not to go overboard, because then I'll be back trying to cut it back down. So I only need
Yeah.
1,000 more words, and that's not very much. And
No, it isn't. It'll go by real quick.
yeah, so I have to be very strategic on where I want to embellish the story out a little bit from the sentence. And so I'm thinking, when you do a hero's journey, you have like 2 aha moments.
Yes.
And so I'm thinking that I probably, and see, that was my first aha moment, was when my mom sat me down and said, you need to get on with it. And so I think I need to expand that storyline a little bit around what I was feeling right then to
Right.
make me feel strong enough to do something.
Mhm.
Like, so your mom talked to you. What did that make you? You just said my mom sat me down and said to get on with it. And
Right.
so I think that's a point that needs to be, expanded a little bit. So that's one area where I want to add some words, but see, then I need to make sure I don't get in over my head with too many sentences there, because I could use all my 1,000 words up just in that, making that story. So
Oh,
remember I said with your story, it's like an accordion, you can expand it or collapse it to whatever the situation calls for. So now this writing, and I want to share this with you, this might be helpful to you for writing your book, is I don't remember now what it's called. I'm going to get out of this document so I don't accidentally like erase something. Close that document out. So anyway, I forget what it's called, but there's a way that you can write and it expands like a flower. So the premise of your story, you write the premise, the one sentence premise. And then you expand. And so you start writing out around it like a flower, it gets a little bit bigger. So maybe that premise has 4 points. And now each of those 4 points has a paragraph. Now, each of the
oh,
paragraphs and what it is your story starts with the center premise and you build your story out all the way around, and it just gets as big as you want it to get. That's kind of what I did. See, I took that hero's journey. And so now I see my major points, and I don't even know how many I have, but if I just added one more sentence to each of those, I would have my 1,000 words.
oh, definitely.
But again, I want to make sure that I put the words where the impact is going to be the most. And so when you're writing your book, you have to decide what are the impactful points to the story. And that's where you want to get to somebody's heart. And so when, you want it to be heartfelt. So when I look at my work with me, it's like, let me tell you a quick story. I started with, I'm a single mom. It says, then something happened to change my life forever. That's where my mom sat down and had the chat with me. See, that's an aha moment. And then at the time I had no idea the impact this would have. The problem was, so do I put a little more emotion into the problem? And it says, just when I thought things couldn't get worse. And then I was on a downward slide because, and then needless to say, I felt panicked. That's when they were going to close the salon. That's when I truly hit rock bottom. And then this meant that I really panicked. And then that's when I decided, which was my second aha moment. That's when I finally hit rock bottom, was another aha moment that I have to do something. I have to make a decision. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking to expand where my mom sat me down, that made my first decision to at least explore doing something. And then
Yes.
I think I need to jump over to my rock bottom and what I felt, because I just said I panicked and started looking for yet a third job. My mom was exhausted from taking care of my dad, who'd been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. My mom was also watching my ADHD daughter while I was trying to figure out what to do. I could paint, if you will, paint that picture of what my life looked like at that point, where my mom was exhausted, my dad was dying, my daughter had ADHD, the school was calling every day, I was trying to work all these jobs. I think that's where I need to expand my second emotional point to get emotional.
Yeah, you've got to combine that.
So anyway, then from there, see, that's when I really made up my mind that, dang it, I'm doing something different. I got to do something different. So I
Right.
think that's where I need to kind of put the punch in those two aha moments.
I think that sounds like a good idea.
Because from there, it says, then something happened that changed everything. I found a salon, that's when things started to,
Change.
that's when the boat started to stop rocking and reeling so much. And that
Yeah.
was the spark I needed. And then here's what happened next. And then one day I looked up and I realized I now could even buy more salon buildings. And then I was forever changed, that I now had passive income. And now I saw myself as in control. And that's when I couldn't stop there. I realized I needed to teach you how to do what I've done. And so what I did is I segued right about there over into answering other questions. And here's how my programs can help you. Here's the formula I'm using. And that's when I answered those other questions in the chapter.
Well, you've got it covered pretty well.
But anyway, here's what I'm thinking. How far are you into writing your book?
Well, at least a third.
Well, what I'm thinking is, could you take that Hero Journeys prompt like I did
Right?
and use that as an outline?
Yes. I've been thinking about that.
And go back and kind of match up what you have written already with that hero's journey outline, because the hero's journey outline takes you all the way through from,
Yes.
like, let me tell you a quick story that once upon a time, it's from the beginning. And then if you just answer kind of those prompts and take your writing and do what I did, make your hero's journey your premise,
Right.
and then take your writing and answer some of those questions, which then brings your story out here. Because if you're trying to
Okay.
write it in chronological order, my guess is everything you've written goes under one of those prompts somewhere.
Yes, it does.
It's like, once upon a time, it's either in your once upon a time stage, or something happened that changed your life forever stage, or at the time you had no idea what impact this would have on you, the problem was stage. And so every paragraph would probably fit under one of those prompts. And then just keep telling the story and let the accordion get bigger and bigger as
Let
your
the
story
flower
grows.
bloom.
Yeah, just let it bloom like a flower starting to unfold as you're writing your story. And I think what it might do, as you get ideas,
Yeah.
you could even put the prompts on your board.
Oh,
And then as you get, I remember I want to tell this story. Which prompt would it go under? And put your
yes.
note up there.
Good idea.
And I
Well,
think what would happen is that your story would just kind of write itself. And if every day you sat down and instead of forcing yourself to write about a prompt, do it in reverse. Think about, what is the story that made an impact on me? I'm trying to think of an example. I don't know how, well, I'll give you a great example. The other day, I was talking to an ex-salon girl, and the conversation, because she was like, yeah, and then I left the salon business. The conversation triggered that month that I decided to leave the salon business. And it was a very emotional time for me. And it triggered that story in me. And I was
Yes.
like, yeah, I remember when I left the salon. And she's like, yeah, it was really a tough time for me. And I'm like, yeah, it was. It was a tough time for me too. I get it. And we were swapping our end of salon day stories. Well, that would have been a perfect time for me, see, to take the end of the salon stories, that last 30 days of when I left the salon industry, and put that somewhere in my hero's journey.
That's not a bad idea.
So now what you're doing is you're infusing these emotional stories into your writing just by making a note, like I want to revisit how I felt that month, and I want to tell that in this chapter. And so when I look at where it says, then something happened, this is where my mom sat me down. And then I had no idea. Well, it's because I was working all these jobs, hadn't gotten into the salon business. Needless to say, I felt panicked. And that's when I truly hit this meant. I'm looking to see where that would go. Then I found a new salon. And then, of course, what happened next, I learned everything I could about the salon industry. Then I had 4 more buildings, and I was forever changed. And now I had passive income, blah, blah, blah. I could work less, and I started living a new healthy lifestyle. Well, then I couldn't stop there. And so that's when I left the salon business and decided to start the academy. And that would be a perfect place, see, to put in there that I really struggled, because it had been such a good transition for me to be in the salon business, that how could I walk away from that? It's basically what saved the day for me. And so if I'm writing
Interesting.
about how to speak, lead, and impact, how many other people might be in a job that is basically saving the day for them? And so that's where they get stuck, is because they're afraid to step away from what's working. And
Yeah.
so that would be a perfect place for me to infuse that last 30 days in the salon business story.
hmm
That would be a perfect spot for me to infuse it, and just because, see, then I just skated over that. See, so now I am focusing on creating a step-by-step process for others to discover. And it's kind of like, how did she make that leap? Because it just jumps from where I'm doing wonderful in the salon business, but now I'm creating a step-by-step. And they're like, well, if she's doing so gosh darn wonderful in the salon business, why isn't she still doing the salon business? And
Yeah.
so that's where I think, and there, that could be my 1,000 word. Yeah, I'm not going to have enough room in my chapter to write everything. I can see that clearly. So, but that's where, see, I can say that after 25 years, even though I loved everything about it, my shoulder was hurting and my elbow was hurting, and the doctor's talking about surgery, and and at the end of the day, I could decide that I could either stop right after I get all cut up, or I could stop right before I get all cut up. And I decided that I needed to stop right before. Well, that's a tough one. I don't know how many people I know that go to the grave working a job that's killing their bodies, but they don't know how to quit it because it's what's paying the bills.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So anyhow, as you're having conversations with girlfriends or whatever, and you find, an emotional story, and you feel that it's emotional, make a note of that. That's a great story to put in your book.
Well, and the thing is, every once in a while, somebody will talk about something, and it triggers a memory for
Mhm.
me. And it's like, make note of that.
Mhm.
And, but for you, listening, I wonder if you just elaborate what you've been telling me. Okay, and it's going to be over 1,000 words, but if you elaborate and write all of those thoughts down, then you can go back through and say, okay, I'm going to pull this out and this out and this out to make your 1,000 words. That way you have it all in one session, or
Mhm.
succession, and you won't forget something. I mean, eventually you might, but if you have it all written down, then you can go from there and pick out what you need for the rest of the 1,000 words. And, that's a brilliant idea.
Well, here's where I'm going with it, and here's what I don't know if I'm allowed to do it, and I have to ask my publisher if I can. With this chapter, I'm going to have about 3,500 words, and it's going to be my hero's journey and then answering those business questions. I'll call them business questions at the end. What I would like to do is scrap the business questions after this whole writing project is over. Just take that hero's journey, put it on a board, like I had suggested to you, and just start filling out. Even before my story starts with, if I scroll back up here, it starts with, let me tell you a quick story. I was a single mom working 2 jobs. What if I put that on my board and I back up and add even more at the beginning? Let me tell you a quick story. When I was 12, when I decided that when I retired someday, I wanted to run a bed and breakfast. Or what if, my divorce, in my 20s, I found myself divorced and a single parent at 27 years old, and had to figure out how I'm going to support myself and my daughter, and my dad was sick, and I had to do all of that all at the same time. And so what if I started there,
Yeah. Yes.
and,
Yes.
and my question to my publisher is, if you publish this, I'll call it miniature version, because on my website, that's just an outline basically, but it
Yeah.
tells my whole story. So this chapter is going to be a miniature version of my hero's journey. Am I allowed to use that same material, write it on out, and turn it into its own book? If she has published it, can I use that same material to publish a book?
Yeah. You need to ask about that.
You see where
Because-
I'm going with that? Because that
Yeah.
would be a perfect book for me.
It would. And you could go through, you don't have to write an ebook. You can write a book.
Oh, I'm talking about getting a whole book published after this, just publishing like you're publishing your story.
Right.
That I would publish my story, but it would be a full-fledged book.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it would. You've got enough information there for that.
So
And-
that was my question to her, because it is my story. And I basically, if I had a book already of all of that, let's say I published 5 years ago and it's my full-fledged story, and now I'm doing this co-author project, and she said, hey, I just need 3,500 words of basically your hero's journey and these business questions. Could I take snippets of my book and republish it? I'm thinking if I'm self-published, I would be allowed to do that, I think.
I think so. I mean, it's yours. There's
Yeah.
no reason why you can't use it in her book.
So that's my plan, is that once, because there's so much more stories that went into it. I mean, I could tell how I felt going through my divorce, and how scared I was at 27 years old, and I wasn't going to have my parents to help me out. I mean, I can really expand that entire story
Yeah, you
into
could.
a full book,
Yeah.
because the outline is already there. So I think that hero's journey outline would help both of us write our story.
Yeah. Well, and a couple classes ago, I mentioned it to you, and I emailed it to you.
Yes, I have that.
Good. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Because I think I got it from Sherry.
Who did you get it from?
Sherry?
Ah,
Yes.
I printed
That's
it
it.
off.
I know.
I love it. I love it that we're doing this. So
Yeah.
So
You're
I'm
still
getting
recording.
excited. I'm going to be published by July, and I will. We've already picked out, book covers. We've already done the book covers. We've already done the foreword. We've already done the author's names, how everybody wants their name spelled. We've already done, I don't know what order the chapters are going to be in. That's her job to do that. Because she wants it, she doesn't want it to look like it's piecemealed together. She wants it to flow.
Yes,
So she may take one story and say, oh, this needs to be at the beginning of the book, and this story needs to be more, depending on everybody's writing style. So that'll be her job to do that. But once this is all done, I don't want to lose sight of this hero's journey idea and using it as an outline to just really, boy, I just remember, and I know you can relate to this. I just remember just through my childhood and then through, becoming of age and even meeting Dan. I mean, I could paint quite the story. Every so often, Mark and I'll
yeah,
get to talking, and Mark will say, well, how did you and Dan meet? And it just triggers that memory, like, I remember and all of those emotions come back. Now, here's the tough part. The bad stuff, those emotions come back too.
yeah,
And I've talked to so many authors and they said, there's no way around it. You got to live through it a second time to write it.
yes.
To
Yeah,
make the
I'm beginning
writing,
to find that.
they said, to make the writing really jump off the page, you've got to get your emotion in it. And to get your emotion in it, you have to feel it all over again.
Yep,
And
yes,
that's the tough part.
yeah,
And some people will start to write those tough parts and then they have to step away because they just can't take that volume of grieving through that time, whatever it is you're grieving for. It could just be grieving for yourself for what you had to go through, but oftentimes you have to step away. You can't just live in that for days at a time while you're writing that chapter.
yeah. And it's easy enough to get bogged down in the sadness, the impact that it had on you. But then you have to realize that there are other people out there that have had the same issue and they're still stuck and they
Right.
can't
And
get
I
out.
think, and that's why our stories are so important, is I think our stories need to be told because it does inspire other folks that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And it does
Yeah,
let them know that you can make some decisions and choices and move on with your life. And so that's why I think our stories are important. But to get the impact of the story, I think you have to get that emotion out on the page. And that's hard for the author. And I've talked to several authors about that, and they said, Kathy, you can't skate around it. They said, if you've got some really painful points, that you're going to have to roll up your pant legs and just weed back through it and just really close your eyes and just really let that emotion come in on what you were feeling at the time, because that's what's going to make your writing amazing.
well, I agree. Now, are you going to be able to put this in the conference, Igniting Souls conference, or no?
Put what this
The book you're, working
no,
on?
Carrie just wants books that are published through his publishing company, and this is not through Carrie's publishing company.
Oh, okay.
This one is through Wooster Media. Patricia
Yeah.
Wooster is my publisher instead of Carrie.
Oh,
And
well.
only because it's a co-author book and she does it all. See, with Carrie, I thought, if I have to figure out how to get my covers done and how to get my ISBN number and how to get it uploaded into Amazon and how to do, because in Carrie's program, you do it all yourself. I mean, he's got the step-by-step, and which is a good thing, because once you do it, now you know how to do it and you can do it over and over and over. You can write as many books as you want once you know how to do it. But in this case, see, she's doing it all. I just submit my chapter to her, and I just got to vote collectively with the other authors on what cover we wanted. She's doing everything. She's doing the page count. She's doing the setup. She's doing everything that you have to do yourself through Carrie. She's doing all of it. And again, I think he's charging, what is his charge now? 6,000?
No, it's 7.
7,000. Well, she's doing all of it for 3. because I'm just a co-author, see? Now, if
Okay.
she were doing one book for me, what would it be? You know, I don't
Yeah.
know what she would charge. It might be a lot more than Carrie's 7.
Yeah,
Because see, this is several authors are all paying 3 each. So she's making quite a bit of money off of this. But what it did for me is it allowed me to get published this year.
right, right.
And
Which is
so,
good.
yeah, so I decided to go for it. And what it's done for me is it has sparked my know-how on how now I want to write my book. Because
Right,
now
right,
I realize that this hero's journey outline is the perfect outline for my book.
right. Definitely, definitely. I see where you're going with that. I agree with you.
So the
And
first thing I'm going to do once I get this published, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take those prompts and I've got a cork board here in front of my desk, and I'm going to list those prompts on Post-it notes on my cork board across the top. And then
yes,
every time I get a memory of a story, I'm going to make a note of the story and I'm going to put it under which prompt it. And you can move it around. You could say,
oh yeah,
I want that story over here instead of over there. But the point is that I think in a matter of a few months, I am going to have the entire book outlined just on that cork board with my Post-it notes.
well, so like remember, and that's the best plan you have to do. Remember when here it is. I have all these sheets
Yep.
here with
love it.
all of my things. And what I've decided is this is kind of difficult like this. So I'm looking for my cork board or a big brown piece of paper that I could plaster, the sticky notes on.
Yeah.
And that way I can place orders,
Yes.
or replace orders.
Right. And that's
And
what I'm seeing because, I could tell a story, I could think, oh, I remember the story the night that, I found out that my dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Well, there's a whole chapter.
yeah, exactly.
Because that's a perfect place to do. Once the night that I find that out, that's a perfect chapter to then go back and reminisce about growing up with him as my dad.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you see where again, you take that core hero's journey and all of a sudden you just add stories and stories and stories and stories. And do you know what an exciting read that would be at the other end?
Oh yeah,
And do
definitely.
you see the emotional roller coaster that you're going to take your readers on?
Yeah.
And they're going to go, wow, wow, wow. 5-star, 5-star, 5-star.
Exactly. That's what I'm hoping.
And here's the best part for me and you, Debbie. You only have to relive it a story at a time.
Good point. Good point. You don't have to put it all together.
And it comes together at the end. So you only have to relive those emotional stories a story at a time. And if you need to walk away for 2 or 3 days before you do your next story, that's okay.
That's a good point.
Well, I love this conversation because I realized
This
it's
has
just the
been
2 of us. This was like having our own little coaching mastermind. It's the 2 of us. I love it.
Yeah, but you're still recording.
Yeah, but this will be for us. Yeah. Yeah, this is
Is
good stuff.
great.
So anyway, we're going to have to physically get together soon and put our cork boards together because, just sitting here now, I'm excited. I can think of 10 stories right now that need to go in my book. Like the night that I found out my dad had pancreatic cancer. That's wow. And then the night he passed and that's a whole chapter just about my dad.
Yeah. Yeah. And that you're right. I mean, beginning, the end, and what went on in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be good. It'll be good.
And again, I don't want to relive that. It was a very painful, 3 months, but boy, oh boy, is because he passed within 3 months of being diagnosed. But we
Oof.
had, but again, I remember he loved bluegrass. I'll tell a little piece of it so you can see how this can just turn into this huge chapter. He loved bluegrass music. Well, bluegrass isn't my favorite, but he loved it. And so mom says, we know his days are numbered. What can we do for him? And I said, he loved bluegrass. I said, if he's feeling up to it, wonder if we take him to some bluegrass festivals. And she was like, well, that'd be all right. She said, let me check with him. Well, he had to sit because he was on chemo and he was losing weight, losing strength. And I still have his little aluminum lawn chair that she put his
Aw.
little kitchen cushions on the seat. So, because he was getting real bony, from losing weight. And he had to walk with his little walker and then finally in a wheelchair. And we took him, I think every weekend for that 12 weeks, we took him to a bluegrass festival somewhere in central Ohio, wherever there was one. And right before he passed, he turned to me and he said, this is the best summer I've ever had.
Oh,
And I'm like, oh, and see, that needs to go in the book.
yes, it does. It does. I mean, because there's the impact of what you did for him needs to be
Mhm.
shared.
I
Wow,
love it.
I do too.
So
Thanks.
see, again, I need on a post-it, I need to put, bluegrass story and stick it on my board in the
You
right
almost need a
category.
sticky pad right on your desk. So every time you think of something, boom, boom, boom. There you go.
I think we're on to something, Debbie. I think maybe we'll both get our books completed here in the next, maybe 12 months?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. And what a day that will be.
I love it. I can't wait to read your story. And again, I have another question, but I need to go because I've got guests coming in and I don't have my rooms flipped yet. So I need to go.
Ooh.
But real fast, how do you tell your story without throwing someone under the bus? Because this is going to be out there for the public.
I know. How do you do that?
Some authors have decided to write it as a fictional story and they've changed all the names. So they've written it about Susie instead of Debbie or Cindy instead of Kathy. And
Yes.
so it's your story, but nobody can swear that you're talking about them. They know it's them, but they can't swear that it's about them, and they can't sue you because you didn't say it was them. You at the beginning, you said it was fiction. But if you're trying to leave a legacy and you want to leave your story, how do you do that? And I don't know the answer. How do you do that?
The
legally?
only answer I have to that is the fact that you would have to go to each family member and get their permission.
Well, yeah, I can see me going to my ex-husband saying, hey, I'm going to write a book
Yeah.
about my life and I'm going to throw you under the bus. Is that okay?
I know, that's exactly it. And the point is that I was saying that is that does not work in many people's books for
Right.
their books.
So
So
what is the answer to that? I
don't-
understand if the person is already deceased, there's not like they can come back and sue you. Now the family might, if it's about a different family, but
that's something we got to look into.
yeah. Because I think about these gals that have been abused and they can't really name their abuser if there's not been any proof or court case or whatever. And, because the abuser is just going to say, you can't, I mean, look at Johnny Depp. He's in court right now because his girlfriend, and he says, no, I didn't. And he's suing her. And she said, I never named you. And he goes, yeah, but everybody knows it was me you were talking about.
Well, I mean, my father's deceased, my mom's deceased, and so really, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, let's research that. and decide, I'm going to do some Googling around and research what the answer is to that, because I'm sure that we're not the first two that have ever had that question.
So what's the question?
Basically, how do you throw somebody under the bus in your book? Because, you don't want to accuse somebody of something that you can't prove, but it's your story and you know what happened and you know the truth. And, but of course they're going to deny it because it could be something criminal. For
Yeah.
example, if somebody was abused as a child, you can't necessarily say my uncle and my brother abused me. And then, of course, as a child, you maybe never went to court, never proved it. It's not like they're in jail for it. One thing is to say it happened and they got convicted and they're now in jail. That's kind of facts. That's kind of common. That's public record. But for you to just say that could destroy somebody's career. Like Johnny Depp, he's saying about his girlfriend, he says, this is destroying my career.
Yeah, and it is.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is that back in my days when that was going on, people did not talk about it.
Exactly.
They didn't go to the police, nothing. And it's that way somewhat now, and sometimes
Now, are you allowed to say that it was a family member or it was a neighbor? That is so vague and ambiguous that it would be hard to prove who the family member or the neighbor was at the time.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you could write it ambiguous to that point. You could still bring all of your emotion into it and just mention that it was a neighbor or a family member or a coworker.
Yeah.
That did this, instead of saying it was John.
True. And I like the way you put that, because it it doesn't give a name, but yet mine are deceased. So it really doesn't matter. But
still, if you just said a family member instead of saying my dad or my brother,
right.
or, a family member could be a distant cousin. It could be,
Anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone that way.
Because it's the fact that it happened and the emotions and the trauma that you experienced is what the story is.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Well, let's think on that one.
Yes.
I think we've covered a lot of territory today.
Yeah, we have. Much more than I thought we would. What would you use as the statement to Google it?
I don't know. You'd probably have to just play around, Google it different ways and see what came up. Just kind of do some research.
Yeah. Yes. So, okay, I'm going to do that because I need to know. I need to know.
Yeah, I do too. I've had one big serious thing that happened in my life right around the time. Well, as a matter of fact, it's what caused my divorce. And so that's a huge part of my story that I have never, ever shared. And so I'm thinking, oh, if I go back I tend to skip over that part and start with, well, I was divorced and a single mom. And I usually start there so that I didn't have to deal with all that.
But
in the story, but if I'm gonna write an actual book and make that a part of my legacy, I need to go for that. Yeah,
you do.
And then that brings up that question, because he's deceased as well, but his family is not.
Oh, and he got married again? Did he get married again?
Well, this was not Dan. It was a coworker, and it's what caused my divorce with Dan.
Right. But
so the coworker is now deceased, but he was married at the time and has adult daughters. that still live in this area.
Yeah, that's kind of tricky. It almost says to yourself, do I really want to put it in there? But
Well, but if I just said it was a coworker and I didn't say that it was this particular coworker, if I just said it was a coworker, I mean, at the time I worked for an insurance company, it could be, 20 million different coworkers. If I
Right.
just said it was a coworker that I didn't know very well, and then this is what happened, and then that's the end of the story with him. Then go on with what it did to me and my emotions and how I had my trauma. And then then Dan decided he wanted a divorce because of it. And, then I, went in even deeper in despair, trying to figure out what was I going to do, with being a single mom during all this.
is he still alive? Dan?
Dan is, yes.
Okay.
So he
Okay.
knows the story, but again, I don't have to name the perpetrator, which was the coworker.
Right, right. And you almost have to give that as a prelude to once upon a time. You were a single mom. How did you become a single mom?
Well, and I think that's my once upon a time prompt, see,
yeah,
would be the prompt, and then I would put that story, the coworker story, under that prompt. My once upon a
Yes.
time would start sooner.
Okay.
It would start
That's a
younger.
good idea.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Okay. All
But I'm
right.
not doing that for this book, because this book is how to speak, lead, and impact. And so for this book, the whole hero's journey is the same as my website. It's how I went from basically being broke to having passive income. And it doesn't really matter how I was broke. I was broke, and now I have passive income. So that's the point or the premise of this
Yeah.
chapter. But when I write
Yeah.
my own book, see, it's not going to, my premise is going to be my legacy, my life story. Well, my life story has to include those early years.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, this has been good.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, kiddo. Mwah. Love you.
Love you. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yes. Yes. Me too. So I am going to run and get my room flipped, and I will see you next time.
Yeah, dear. Bye.
Bye.
Off.
Oops. I tried to hit the end button.